Now, Michigan Reimagined with Chris Buck.
So, financial institutions are critical to the economic development of our communities. And I've also learned over the years that banks are not all the same. Here to discuss the Capital National Bank story and a new endeavor is the president of Capital National, Mr. Ed Harden. Welcome, Ed.
Thank you, Chris. Great to be here.
All right. So, I think about banking, or back even when I was knee-deep in corporate America business stuff, I always kind of blended all banks as being the same, right? They're all banks. I go and I give them my paycheck, and then I take money out and I save, and they help me do stuff and all that. But I've learned in my age and my wisdom that there's different banks focus on different types of clients and different types of services, and the transactional banking that the kid learns to do when he's in high school or whatever is a very small piece of that. So can you share with our listeners a little bit about the different styles of banks and what areas they focus on?
Yeah, so you have national banks that, as the word says, cover the entire United States. And those are a great fit for many companies that need multiple locations throughout multiple states.
Okay.
And then you have the big regional banks that cover more of a region. And then you get down to what we are called a community bank.
Okay.
And as the word says, our community is what we serve. And as a business bank, which is what Capital National Bank is, we work with small to mid-sized businesses. And one of the things that I've learned is, over my tenure here at Capital National Bank, is that sometimes it makes sense to actually have a couple different banking relationships.
Right.
A bigger bank or a regional bank or a national bank, but then also a community bank, because a community bank, our mission is more to put a round peg in a square hole. A business owner that may not have a cookie cutter solution available, because we're local and because we understand the business climate throughout Michigan, we're able to come through with solutions that other banks, maybe the decisions are being made in Cleveland or Nebraska or somewhere else. We have a local board who understands what's happening in our state, and we can make good decisions and help businesses get what they need to do to be successful.
Got it. Okay. So you talk about a board. So let's talk about kind of the foundation for when was Capital National Bank founded, and how are you governed? You mentioned a board.
Yeah. So Capital National Bank was founded in 1982.
Okay.
By Joe Reed, a bunch of great business people in our community here, all Michigan based, did a fabulous job. And to this day, we're about, I think, November 22nd, we're having our 40th year anniversary.
There you go. Okay.
Which is outstanding. And so the board over that time has changed, obviously.
Yep.
But we keep our board with very, very smart people. I'm really blessed to have the board that I do, which is comprised of business people in the state of Michigan, primarily in the Lansing area at this point in time. But as I said, they are very bright. They give me great guidance. They have a good heart. It's about taking care of people, and that's what a community bank is really all about.
Sure. And so, you certainly have a fiduciary to make sure that the bank, but you're all, that the bank stays equitable and does the right things, but you also want to be able to serve the people and come up with unique opportunities to help them meet their goals, right? And find that blend of risk tolerance.
Exactly.
And try to say yes more than you say no.
Well, and sometimes we say, we can't do it now.
Right.
But if you get to this point,
right,
here's what we can do.
Right.
And I think that's what's critical for people. Just getting a no doesn't really answer, okay, so I don't understand why.
Right.
And that's what we do, is we take the time to explain to people, look, here's where your objectives are, whether it's, some technical term or whatever, but we work with people to make sure that they understand you can get to be bankable. Here's what you need to do, and here's what your goals are. And as an entrepreneur, which we love,
right,
most of the folks, when I tell them that, they embrace and they're like, all right, I got a goal. Let's go get it. And I'll be back here in 6 months and we'll get it done.
That's great, because, I look at a community, and it needs to be a blend of, you're going to have national brands and, big flags that make up our commerce and our shopping and our dining options. And then you need to have the small business and regional business and local business. And it's a blend, right? So like you mentioned, these big organizations are going to have national banking relationships, and they know that they hit the tick marks and they just get another loan out to do whatever they need to do. But someone needs to hold the hand and be the advocate for these startups and small businesses that maybe have either what it takes to grow and need someone to give them a shot, or they don't, and they need someone to counsel them on if you do these things. And it sounds like that's where you guys really fit in.
Or, oftentimes a business will be ready to take it to the next level, but they may have accounts receivable. They may have a bunch of orders, but they need to buy the product to get it in to deliver to make the money, but they can't get the loan to get to where they need to be.
Right.
And that's where we fit in. is helping businesses expand, grow, prosper, which ultimately, I don't want to sound, crazy here, but that is great for the community. It drives in tax revenue.
Mm-hmm.
It helps the community be more vibrant. And in Capital National Bank world, we are able to give back to the community, whether it's through time, treasure, financial.
Right. Well, there's a lot I still want to cover. So, let's talk about that since you ended that sentence with that. So, I noticed as I was doing research for the show that those aren't just words. That the Capital National does put their money where their mouth is and donates time and resources and really does give back. Talk about why is that really important, and then in what manner do you do that? Can you share a couple of stories or things that you are engaged in?
Yeah, when we look at the Lansing market and other markets, there are sometimes compelling stories where you say, look at this young lady who was born with spina bifida. And so that was one of our most recent ones, was creating a college fund for her to help her out in conjunction with Spartan Toyota, good friend of mine, Rosario Cruscolo and Derek Cruscolo. They stepped up, we stepped up, and it was impactful. And I'm telling you, there wasn't a dry eye in the room just the other night. And that's really, in my world, that there are a couple key pieces to being a community bank, particularly a community bank president. Number one is helping those people in your community to have a better quality of life. Number two is being a great dot connector. So when you come to me or somebody comes to me and says, hey, I'd really, one of my existing customers, and they say, hey, I need to meet so-and-so. Oh, well, let me help. Or I got an idea. Have you thought about doing this or meeting this person? That is what a community bank is really all about. It's being committed as a partner of our customers to make them more successful.
Wonderful. Now, is this a crowded space? I mean, do you have a lot of local competitors? I mean, we don't need to get into names and stuff, but it seems like your moral compass as a company is pointing in the right direction. You're doing all the right things. I mean, are you overwhelmed, or are there other people that are doing this similar type of work?
We are Lansing's only community bank, and we take that role very seriously for our community. But we also extend that throughout the state. The same mantra, the same ideals. Here's what we're going to be doing. Whatever location it may be that we're in, we want to be a great community partner.
And you've talked a little bit about examples of people that have come your way, but maybe pin it down even a little bit more. What is your wheelhouse? So for the listeners, what type of person is kind of the ideal, or who should be calling you to get what type of advice?
Yeah, so Capital National Bank is a business bank. What I mean by that is we do lines of credit, we'll do SBA loans, which is small business administration loans through the government that helps startup businesses get in because there's a government guarantee. We do USDA loans, same kind of thing, government backed. We help people get their dreams started, bring it to reality. So those are some of the big things that we do. We're not a home mortgage bank.
Okay,
that's not our wheelhouse, but we are business. I believe we are business savvy. We have a great lending team, experienced people who understand the needs of business, and that's what we do. That's what we're all about.
And the money, does it need to go to anything specific? You talked about materials, right? It's like, I've got all these orders. Here's my evidence of that. My ARs are in good shape.
Oh my gosh, there's so many opportunities out there. I mean, right now we see a lot of buy sells of businesses. We're generational. It's time to change over, right?
Okay.
So somebody needs to buy in or buy a business, or somebody wants to buy a building. Somebody is doing well. They need to build a bigger warehouse.
Okay.
Those types of things. That's what we're here for.
Okay. So the funding really can go to any, growth endeavor that they might have.
Business related activities.
Right. Right. And it sounds like it's maybe not just, one loan that you do, but kind of create this established relationship where they come back and use you as a resource over and over again, right?
Yeah, a community bank isn't about a transaction. We're not a one and done. We want to build a relationship and we have. I mean, when I go back, we're doing some things for our 40-year right now, and I'm looking at customers who've been with the bank since it opened, 1982. And now their sons and their sons' sons are starting to take over and run that business. And it's really cool to see. And you'll be seeing a lot more of that coming out of us in the near future.
Right.
It's just celebrating the fact that we have supported Lansing businesses and families for generations now. It's really cool.
And how long have you been with Capital National?
Been here about 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you love it.
Been great.
And how big's your team? How many people does Capital National employ?
Well, we're not huge.
Yeah,
we've got 30. We've got 30 people. We just worked with Martin to buy a new branch.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your help. Tom Jameson, Eric Rosekrantz, Van, you, Chris, everybody was wonderful. So we're excited to get that open probably around December. We'll have that cooking. So it's all good. It's very fun.
Well, let's talk about that. How many brick and mortar because you are a community bank and now you're making this move. So talk a little bit about that move.
Well, the move I think is going to be wonderful. We're right over by Playmakers, which for those people in Lansing are going to know where that is. But just let me say to the listeners at large, it's next to a very vibrant retail shoe store. Right. Athletic shoes. And I think it's a much better location. Literally, I've been saying to people, when they say, where are you opening your new branch? I'll say, well, right next to Playmakers. And like, oh, okay, I got it. Right. Legendary running store. I mean, they've been around since I think 82 is there, which is actually the same year, right? Exactly. I think they are 82. I've got one of their T-shirts that I got at one of the few 5Ks I've ever done. But for those who don't know, it's right between kind of Meridian Mall and Michigan State University's campus on Grand River Ave, which is the main drag, and it's a freestanding building, right? Yes. So you're going to have monuments, pole sign and branded building and drive-through, and all new that. ATMs with great capabilities and all those kind of things, and still a wonderful team of human beings, right, that you can go in and talk to, or you can call and talk to, right, which is another advantage of a community bank, right. And in this day and age with the pandemic and everything, and the work that you do, it can be intimidating to try to get engaged, right? But having a welcoming storefront, kind of a place to drive by and just say, I know those people, I'm going to go in and get my questions answered. Some people do feel like it being eyeball to eyeball, right, with someone who's going to help them get through a major financial transaction is better than a Zoom or an email and a phone call. No doubt. It's comforting. It's a lot more comforting, frankly. Got it. Because your office downtown, and I've been in there, is more of a corporate kind of a setting. Seems like it's a little bit more, neighborhood friendly, like people can walk in, and because I would imagine you have clients that arrive at your downtown location, right? Oh, sure. I mean, you got the big sign on the building and everything. Absolutely. So, but this is, I think, maybe a little bit more user friendly. So that's great news. Well, we try and make them both user friendly, but I'm just excited to have the drive-through capability now that we didn't have before. I think is going to be a huge advantage, particularly when we get into the winter months. Right. No question. No question. So, you talked about that one individual, and I get back to the community because I think that's where I just really believe that people value companies that are doing the right things. So not only is it the work that you do and all the stories and all the companies that you've worked with this really hands-on consultative approach, but also the philanthropic giving back. I mean, you talked about the person with spina bifida and getting a fund, but you're present at a lot of larger, more kind of institutional nonprofits, and you serve like boards and all that stuff. Can you talk a little bit about the other affiliations that you have? Well, I'm a part of the McLaren Hospital Board, which is really exciting. We've got a brand new $650 million hospital going up. Can't wait. March 6th, 2022. Yep. All patients will be getting services in one location, all private rooms. I mean, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. I think, though, Chris, the biggest thing that we did for the community was during the really scary, dark parts of the pandemic. And I know we're not through, but the PPP loans, right, the payroll protection program loans, right. I'm really proud of my team. We stepped up. We did about 1,500 of them. Holy mackerel, 1,500. 1,500 businesses that we helped, about $150 million that we deployed. And the crazy thing was, we're primarily in the state of Michigan, but we are a national charter, so we can do business throughout the United States. But we wound up doing 1,500 of them, and that included PPP requests that came in from 30 different states of the United States. That was not through marketing. That was not through advertising. That was word of mouth. Wow. And that shows everyone, all the entrepreneurs out there, when you do the right thing and you do it well and you come through on your commitments and you help people, the word spreads. It was incredible. Because that was a federally created process, right? The whole PPP, was rolled out by, I don't know, the Treasury or who was it from the Feds? SBA. Okay. Yep. So the SBA rolls out this access to funds, but you needed to go through either with an attorney or with a bank, if I remember correctly, because there's paperwork, right? Obviously you need to, you need to submit your application with a ton of backup, and it needed to be kind of I's dotted, T's crossed. And if you do it right and follow the programs, the loan can become a grant. Correct. Right. Yep. And so having an ally that can help you navigate that paperwork,
is critical because, I mean, whether it's a loan or a grant could be a real difference maker to some of these small businesses.
It was amazing to see, when we had some challenges early on because the systems would crash when all the big banks and the bots and everybody started hitting it,
right,
uploading their information. So that got a little bit frustrating. So what we did, and I got to credit my team, we went into shifts. And so we were working 24/7. I mean, we take a little pause when we knew we weren't going to be able to get in, but I had people in there. I mean, we didn't take a day off, gosh, for I don't know how long. I mean, it was at least 8 weeks. We went straight through doing these, but it was so gratifying. The calls, the notes, the thank yous, the heartfelt, the crying.
Right.
When people would find out they got their PPP approved, because it was really scary. There was a pot of money, and nobody knew when it was going to run out. And so everybody was feeling this stress and strain and pressure. Did I get it? Did I get it? Did I get it? And we were there on the phones, literally calling owners at 10 p.m. in the evening saying, "You're approved. We got you. We got you back. Hang in there." And it was humbling. It was gratifying. And again, our team at Capital National Bank, my board, all my workers, everybody stepped up and said, "This is our time. Let's go.
Right.
Let's get this done."
And for a bank your size, 1,500. That's a lot of service that you provided with 30 people.
Well, here was at the end of the day, what was really shocking was we were 7th in the nation in our size category, which is $500 million or less in assets. We were ranked 7th in the country for loan growth and safe loan growth in 2020. A lot of it having to do with how well we stepped up and handled the PPP side of business. Amazing.
That is
absolutely
unbelievable.
Amazing.
And that has to speak to just the culture and the buy-in and people really believing in the mission, right? Because if you have distracted or disinterested employees, they're not going to hustle like they did.
People were coming in, they were working all day, they were working at night, they were away from their family, but they knew it was time to be first responders on the economic front of this pandemic.
Right.
And I didn't really have to encourage anybody. It was like, "Hey guys, here's what we got. You want to go get it?" And they're like, "Yeah, let's roll." It was wonderful.
That's great. And that's why you're on the show. Yeah. It's all about economic sustainability and vibrancy in Michigan. And for us to have all held hands and tried to get as many businesses that we have to survive this tragedy. Because the state and this region has had so much positive momentum. I moved here in 2008, which is the beginning of the economic downturn. So I kind of watched us, rough and tumble. But, coming out of that and the momentum and the energy and the people that are really driving it. And some of them are in the news and at the forefront of it, and people know the folks that are involved. But the show is really meant to talk about the other people that maybe aren't in the newspapers that are doing, heroes work,
right,
to try to make sure that we bridge the gap from where we've been to where we need to get to. And I really thought about you for this show and wanted you to come in and share that story because I knew a little bit of it, but I've really uncovered most of it right here in this program.
Yeah.
So thanks for everything you've done.
No, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. And the one thing I would ask of people right now, that staffing's an issue.
Yep.
You know that supply chain's kind of choppy,
Yep.
right? So people, please be patient. And when you go into somebody else's business, it's out of their control to a certain extent. So take a breath, have some empathy. We'll get through this together.
That's a wonderful message to close on. I really appreciate you coming in. President of Capital National Bank here in mid-Michigan and Lansing, Mr. Ed Harden. Thanks very much. How would people get in touch with you if they needed to?
They can look at our website at capitalnational.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You'll find us. Just write in Capital National and we'll pop up, I guarantee it.
Wonderful, and you won't be sorry. Thanks, Ed. Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you, Chris.